Look, man, I'm one of the young people in South Africa who believe that there can never be a market in South Africa that's gonna be only owned by South Africans. That will never happen, whether you like it or not. This is not my opinion. The government and the economy of South Africa proves that there is no sustainable market that can only be owned by only South Africans. That market won't be competitive. The studies are there to prove. This is not my opinion. This is purely economics 101. So, you can go eat sand if you want. This is not my opinion. I don't care. You can go smoke something. This is not my opinion. These are facts. And there is one Ethiopian guy who was asked about owning SPAZA shops. He went into history, but what I think he was trying to say is that he doesn't believe foreigners will be stopped operating businesses in South Africa. Listen here.
There is a strong sentiment from various communities around South Africa that SPAZA shops should be run by South Africans only. How do you, as members of the various countries that also have to make a living in South Africa, how does that make you feel? How would you address that with a South African who says you shouldn't be running a SPAZA shop?
Okay. I think the statement that my brothers and sisters in South Africa, not all, but a few, say that shops should be owned by South Africans, not foreigners. That's how they state.
Yes.
I represent shop owners from Ethiopia. I'm an Ethiopian. As an Ethiopian, I don't feel that I'm a foreigner because I'm an Ethiopian. As I'm an Ethiopian, I'm an African. I have a sentiment of this is where I feel my home. Let me take you back to 1960s. Do you know there is a movement called, I think there was or there is, I don't know either it's alive or not, it's the What Would Jesus Do movement. Let me say this to those people who say that foreigners and who would label us foreigners. What would Mandela say if he were alive? You know why? Because in 1963, when the Organization of African Unity established, when it was established in Addis Ababa, the first 32 countries that established the Organization of African Unity were fighting against any colonials, including the apartheid regime in South Africa. So, the OAU was strongly working against this colonials. This was a fight. Whenever I state this, whenever I say this, people would rush to say that these guys are asking for illegal acts. No, we have zero tolerance for illegal acts. Putting this aside, considering this, we are not foreigners. We Ethiopians are not foreigners. We have lots of things in common. Do you know my traditional attire? This is a traditional attire. This traditional attire is usually worn in September in Ethiopia, which is the same as Heritage Day in South Africa. You see, there is Yaho Day in Hadia, there is Masala in Kambata, there is Irecha in Oromia, there is Fichech Ambalala in Sidama, there is Mask. These all are celebrated in September, which is Heritage Day in South Africa.
Look, so Mr. Daniel, because I've run out of time, I think that the basis for my question is that yes, you're absolutely correct. We are all Africans.
Yes.
But I have no right as a South African to enter Ethiopia illegally.
Yes.
Once I'm in Ethiopia, I have to follow the rules of that country.
Definitely right.
The members you represent, would you be able to say here and now, without a shadow of doubt, that they are in South Africa legally?
I am talking about those who are legally residing in South Africa.
That's who you represent?
That's who I'm representing. I don't represent those who are illegal. Those who haven't presented or submitted their documents, whose application have been rejected. I'm talking about those who are in South Africa legally, who are here as asylum seekers, as refugees, because this is how the life is since the start of life. Because, you know, it's not South Ethiopians who start moving away. It's Abraham in the Bible. People move away in here. It should be legal. I believe that it should be legal. But, you know, if this is I think you're going to sum up the discussion.
we've basically run out of time.
All right. The only point that I would like to mention is that we're just asking for the expediting of the documents at the Department of Home Affairs. Even though the extension has been for the next 2 months, still the problem remains to be there. Because the legal people, those people who want to have legal documents, are not getting the documents back. I am only talking about legal people, not illegals, not those without a document.
I'm sure the authorities are listening. But thank you very much.
So.
Thank you very much for joining us in studio.
All right.
Fikre Jesus, Daniel.
You know what makes me say what I just said before the clip I just played you? Is because the government of South Africa doesn't believe it. You know, many people are so delusional. Many people are in denial. Me, I refuse to live in denial. I refuse that. It's a weakness. It's a weak point. I refuse. I refuse to be delusional. I refuse to go against what the government was already proposed. If the government made a decision and chooses to do certain things a certain way, you being in denial is you choosing to live in a fallacy world. If the government, for in case, says there's gonna be a load shedding, take it for what it is. There's gonna be a load shedding. The government said it. There's nothing you can do to go against it. Don't be delusional trying to say, hi, the government, bring back the light. No, there's gonna be a load shedding. So prepare to maneuver your life through a load shedding. When the government says, as long as the foreigners' SPAZA shops have documents and they're fully documented and their businesses have permits, they can operate their shops. That's the government. They already said that. There's nothing you can do that will change that. So you must live with knowing that that's gonna happen. Don't be delusional trying to say, no, they must go home. Hey. You are not the government. You are thinking poor. Think, adapt, be optimistic in how you think. Don't be passive. So me, I'm not gonna believe people who don't have the power to even make decisions about what happens in the country. Like the people who were in denial that the government said there's a treaty between Nigeria and South Africa. The government made that decision. Doesn't matter what you say, it won't change what the government said. It won't. The decision has been made. Many people were in denial saying, hey, national shutdown, hey, Nigerians must go. I'm like, you are passive. You are very passive. Think like a superstar. Even though it doesn't favor you, what is happening, don't be in denial. If you're living in a hood where there's too much drugs happening, accept that there's too much drugs happening. Don't be like, no, hi, ikaslami na kuna drugs, knowing very well there's drugs. Hi, man, ikaslami, I'm a foreigner, what? It doesn't matter. There's drugs happening in your kasi, accept that for what it is. Upside down. Don't be in denial. Accept that it's a poor and poverty. Don't be like, oh, one day, hey, RTPs. No. Now there's no RTPs and it's poor. Accept that. So accept that the government is giving more time to everyone to register their businesses, and it's gonna get to a point whereby even all the foreigners who wanna own SPAZA shops will end up having all the documents to run these SPAZA shops, and foreigners' SPAZA shops will never be closed. Accept that for what it is. Just accept it. You being in denial doesn't mean it will change. It just means you are in denial. But it is what it is. Thank you very much.